What's up, fellow book lovers? Welcome to the channel. This is Kids, Cats, and Coffee, where I talk books and all things bookish. And today, we're going to talk about all of the books that I have acquired over the last couple of months. That's right. It's a book haul! Alright, so to get started with this, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story, because I got these books very unexpectedly and for free. And who doesn't love free books? I could not resist. When I was on my way home recently, there was at the end of someone's driveway a bunch of stuff that said free, and along with that was free books. There was like 3 tubs of books for free. So naturally I had to go check out all those books, because you never know what you're going to find, right? And so out of those, I got quite an interesting array of books to choose from here. Without further ado, let's check out these books. So to start off, I will, so to get us started, we're going to do some, what do I want to say for that? So to get started off, let's have a little blast from the past, a little nostalgia for those of us who were kids in the 90s. And you've probably all fondly remembered these and read them. I don't know. And I'm sure many of you will recognize them because they are iconic, and it is definitely very nostalgic, and I could not resist. And that would be Calvin and Hobbes! I love Calvin and Hobbes. I loved these when I was a kid. They were so fun, and I'm like kind of pushing them towards my kids to be like, here, something to read. And they're hilarious. I haven't been successful yet, but I'm going to keep trying. So this one is the Weirdos from Another Planet. And then I also got The Revenge of the Babysat. So these have some pretty classic comics in here. Gotta love it. And then I also got the Calvin and Hobbes Lazy Sunday book. And this one's cool because it's actually all in color. Most of them are black and white, but this one actually has color. So I thought that was really cool. Then we've got, then we've got one by Gary Larson. Hang on, did you just stop? Why does it keep stopping like that? Okay. Okay. Then we have, from the very creative mind of Gary Larson, The Prehistory of the Far Side, 10th Anniversary Edition. Or 10th Anniversary Exhibit. Interesting. Okay, hang on. So another nostalgic look. No, I don't like that either. Okay. And from the very creative mind of Gary Larson, we have The Prehistory of the Far Side. So it is full of his comics, but it also has a bunch of information, like where he came up with a lot of these comics, and just little like behind the scenes or tidbits around his work. So it's actually like a pretty cool little read. So I'm excited to look at that. And then also from Gary Larson, now I did not know that he wrote children's books, but apparently he does, because there's a hair in my dirt. Now, my kids are a little bit old for these books, but I think I'm going to torment them and force them to listen to me reading it, because I had to. It's Gary Larson, and it's silly. So, those were some fun ones that I found, and yeah, so. Alright, so those are some of the comics that I found that was kind of fun. And next, we've got some, okay. So next up, we've got some nonfiction. So I'm a bit of a trivia nerd, and I love, useless facts and other such things. So I was kind of excited to pick up this, the QI book of General Ignorance. Now, I don't know if you remember these, but I know when I was in school, we used to have these, like, rings with all these long infographic cards, and they would be full of like interesting facts and like little quizzes and stuff, and we would use them in school to like during certain times that we would be okay, cut that. So I don't know if you remember these in school, but we had them. They were like little info cards with trivia and like little quizzes and stuff on them. And they were done by these guys, the QI guys. And so I thought that was kind of cool. It was like, oh, look at that. Forgot these guys even existed. So that's fun. Lots of interesting little facts. Last questions like, who should you visit on Mothering Sunday? What is Mothering Sunday? Huh. Originally the day everyone returned once a year to their mother church. Interesting. Well, I just learned something new today. I'd never even heard of that before. So there we go. Gotta like that. Then we have the Dictator's Handbook. So this one just kind of goes over the dictatorships and imperfect democracies from around the world and through history. And but it sounded quite interesting and very fitting for our current political state in the world. I don't want to go into politics on this channel, but I think this could be an important read. So that is going on the TBR. When I get to it, I don't know, but I'll get there eventually. Then, sticking with some more nonfiction, got a couple of books by the same author, Brian Greene. Now, he is a very brilliant mind when it comes to the areas of like physics and the universe, because he wrote The Elegant Universe, as well as The Fabric of the Cosmos. So these ones just dive into like the explanation around the theories of, and as the Science magazine said, it is the best exposition and explanation of early 21st century research into the fundamental nature of the universe as you are likely to find anywhere. It's probably some pretty heavy reading, but it sounds intriguing and I'm very curious, so I'm like, I'm gonna read these. It's probably gonna fry my brain a little bit, but that's okay. Gotta challenge yourself every now and then, right? So yeah, kind of an interesting find here. Then, kind of sticking with the whole space theme, we've got some sci-fi. We've got some classic First Contact with The Ark by Ben Jeeps. I'm gonna go with Jeeps. So we've got that, and as I said, that is a First Contact story, so that could be interesting. I do love my sci-fi, and it's a bit of a chunky book, so could be good. Then I've got a collection of short stories, well, two collections of short stories. There is The Stars Around Us, which includes stories by Isaac Asimov, James Blish, Powell Anderson, Frederick Pohl, and Roger Zelazny. And I've read Isaac Asimov. I do enjoy his work, and I love Roger Zelazny, so I'm excited to see what he's contributed to this book. And then we've got the Hugo Winners, Volume 2, which was edited by Isaac Asimov. This one has stories from Philippe José Farmer, Harlan Ellison, Fritz Lieber, Robert Silverberg, Samuel R. Delaney, Powell Anderson, and Anne McCaffrey. I did not delete. Okay, so this one has stories from Philippe José Farmer, Harlan Ellison, Fritz Lieber, Robert Silverberg, Samuel R. Delaney, Powell Anderson, and Anne McCaffrey. So I think that should be interesting, and it's always good to have like a nice small book that I can burn through really quickly, so those should be good. Then I got some fantasy, because I gotta have fantasy. We'll start off with one that I actually know anything about, and that would be Brian Jacques' The Tagarong. So this is from the Tales of Redwall series, and this is one that I have not read, but I absolutely loved this series when I was a kid, and I thought Brian Jacques' writing was just beautiful. Even as a kid, I recognized it, and it was so emotional. Which I don't like them. So. Right. So this is from the Tales of Redwall. I have not read this particular one, though I've read quite a few out of the series, and I absolutely love them. I know they are children's books, but they are so beautifully written that they kind of are good for anybody, any age, really. The character development that is in them and the plots are always really interesting, and it can be so emotional. I remember reading, which one was it now? Outcast of Redwall, maybe? No, it was just Redwall. I remember reading Redwall, and oh my god, the ending just like nearly killed me. It was so emotional. So these are really good books, and yeah, now I have a new book to add to my collection of Redwall books. Then, going back now to the 80s. Now, 80s fantasy was always interesting. Haven't read a ton of it. Actually, no, that's a lie. I've read quite a bit from the 80s. So now we're going to go wind back to the 80s with some Diane Duane. In her, I think these are from the same series. We have The Door into Shadow, and then The Door into Fire. And in these books, there are different doors into other universes that can be dangerous and magical, thrilling, scary, and in some cases, absolutely terrible. So, could be interesting. I've never heard of Diane Duane or her series, but they sounded kind of interesting, and I do so love kind of finding old hidden gems from the past. I don't like how I said that. So it'll be interesting to see if these are any good. And on this one here, okay. So I've never heard of Diane Duane, but Anne McCaffrey, who I have heard of, says that The Door into Shadow is a rousing trumpet, voluntary for Diane Duane's The Door into Shadow. A fine tale of daring, caring, and sharing, of self-revelation and self-sacrifice. So yeah, Anne McCaffrey says that it is a fine tale of daring, caring, and sharing, of self-revelation and self-sacrifice. So it could be good. Andre Norton, he said it's absorbing, the kind of book one reads in gulps and cannot put down. So this could be quite interesting. I think it could be interesting. I always do like kind of digging into the past and seeing what kind of hidden gems are out there, because some things are so underrated and get just forgotten, and they could be really good. So if any of you have read these books, let me know what you think about them. Then, well, we're going to stay in the past, because, you know, the 80s are so great. Right. Okay. So we're going to stick in the past, in the 80s, because, you know, 80s fantasy. There are actually some really good books that came out of the 80s. I shouldn't downplay the 80s. Let's get that out too. Okay. So the next couple of books, which are the last ones that I found in these free bins, they just sound so ridiculous that I couldn't resist. I've never heard of this guy or this series. So without further ado, no, let's see. Okay. So the next few books that I've got are all part of the same series by an author named Robert Asprin. I have not heard of him or of this series, but they sounded so ridiculous, I had to get them. And that would be the Myth series by Robert Asprin, with books such as Little Myth Marker. Skeeves dealt himself a fine mess of trouble this time. First he bluffs his way into a high-stakes game of dragon poker, and by some miracle, wins. Then in Mything Persons, he's got himself in a real pickle this time. His partner Oz has disappeared, and it looks like foul play. And we also have Hit, or Myth. King Roderick takes a powder, leaving Skeeve in his place to marry his homicidal fiancée Hemlock and face the tender mercies of Bruce, the mob's fairy godfather, who wants Skeeve working for him, or not at all. Dun dun dun. Then we have Myth Directions. The trophy was unique, no question. It was easily the ugliest object Skeeve had ever seen in any dimension. just the titles of these alone are hilarious, and I was just killing myself laughing reading these. Actually, I haven't read them yet. So these books, like, I couldn't resist. They sounded so ridiculous that I had to get them. Now, I couldn't resist. They just sounded so ridiculous that I needed to have them. I have to read these. So I will probably do a read with me video, and we can explore this ridiculous 80s series together. So that was a really fun find, this box of free books. So love free books. But then I also did some shopping. I love to go to the thrift stores. You can find so many good books on the shelves, but you'd be amazed at what people will get rid of. So I scored pretty good at the secondhand stores. Okay, now let's try. So the next set of books I actually purchased, but I got them from the secondhand stores and thrift stores. It's one of my favorite ways to find books because you can get them at such a good price, and you can find books that are no longer even in print. So I always check out the shelves at the thrift store. And these ones... Okay. So yeah, so next set of books I actually purchased. I love going to the thrift store and secondhand bookstores and stuff because you never know what gems you're going to find, and you always get really good prices on them. And that is a good thing for me. No, I don't like that. You can always get really good prices on them, so yeah, thrift stores are very good for finding books. Now, this one I didn't get from the secondhand store, but I got it from the vintage secondhand section at my very favorite bookstore, which is Russell's Books. And that is this little guy. The little detailing. I just love old vintage books. I think they're just so pretty, and this one's so little and cute. And it was only $10. And it is Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities. I've never read Charles Dickens before, but I see people talking about his work all the time, especially A Tale of Two Cities, so I now have a copy that I can read. I'm excited about that. It is in actually quite good condition. It is yellowed, but it's in decent condition. And for $10, yes. So yeah, so I got this little guy. It's always a good find. I love Russell books so much. Then, the next series I found, I actually managed to find all three from the trilogy, which can sometimes be difficult. I'm currently hunting down certain series, and I'm slowly, one by one, collecting them. Okay. So, the next couple of books I got are part of a trilogy by David Eddings. So these next books are by David Eddings. He was really popular back in like the 80s, where he wrote The Belgariad with Lee Eddings. And I absolutely loved that series. I was probably like 13 when I read it, and I devoured it. It was so good. And I'm currently trying to find that series again. I did find the follow-up series, The Malloreon, but I haven't found the Belgariad yet. And I really want to read them again because it's been so long and I love them so much. But in the meantime, I found one of his other series, and that is the Tamuli series, starting with Domes of Fire, then the Shining Ones, and the Hidden City. Now this series follows Sparhawk, who is a prince consort in the kingdom that he resides in, and there is very much trouble afoot. There's the first one. So it begins with peasants whispering that the bloody heroes of old would rise again. Soon outlaw bands were ravaging the hill country while the trolls disappeared from their icy northern haunts, and none could say where they had gone. This forces Sparhawk and the Queen to seek out other kingdoms to help them. And at the journey's end, waiting for them, was a glittering court seething with corruption, treachery, and the greatest danger Sparhawk would ever face. So if it is anything like his other books, this should be a really good series, and I'm super excited to read these. I so love David Eddings' writing. It's so good and fast-paced, and at least that's what I remember it being. It was a long time ago, but it stuck with me all this time, so it's got to be good. And yeah, now I have a new series by him, so that's exciting. The next one I got is, it is the first in a trilogy. I don't have the other ones yet, but I'm looking for them. But that would be Philip Pullman's The Book of Dust. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is a prequel to his Dark Materials series that he wrote, and I absolutely loved his Dark Materials. I thought that series was fantastic. The Golden Compass was such a good book. I am due for a reread on that series, for sure. I really enjoy Philip Pullman's writing, and his world building I thought was just amazing. Like, the Golden Compass series was so good. Like, even an adult can enjoy it at this. Okay. So, like, his Dark Materials series was so good. I loved it. His writing is so beautiful, and his character development, his characters are so rich and deep and so complex and very real. So I really enjoy his whole world building. I think it's amazing, and I love like hopping between the different worlds and stuff. I thought that was really fun, so I'm really excited to see what is in this book. Let's see. Actually, no, it says for the precious super-hearted Egyptian cormorant, blah blah blah. Oh no, okay. Okay, hang on, maybe not. Okay. So, in the Book of Dust, it is, let me see, how can I, so the explorer, oh, it is, okay. So yeah, it is a prequel when Lyra is just a baby. So, maybe not. So you're safely home. I don't know. Okay, maybe it's not. All right. So the next one is Philip Pullman and the Book of Dust. So this takes place in the same world as his Dark Materials series, and it does include Lyra from that series. So this is, I'm not sure if it takes place after the Amber Spyglass or not. It does not really say, so I'm not sure. But I absolutely loved his Dark Materials. I thought that was a fantastic book. Or, well, and if the his Dark Materials series was so good. I love this man's writing. It is excellent. And his world building is so cool. It's very unique. The idea of the dust and how some of the characters have like demons and that can shapeshift, and yeah. I really enjoy his writing and his world building, so I'm excited to read that. I hope I can find the other books that go with it. What else can I say? I absolutely loved his Dark Materials. That series was so good. And I think I'm due for a reread on that one. Yeah, I might cut. Yeah, so I'm interested to see what this one will be about. It should be good. His writing's amazing, so it's gotta be good. Then, I scored on a... Yeah. Then, I managed to find the second, third, fourth, and fifth book from Percy Jackson and the Olympians. So I got The Sea of Monsters, The Titan's Curse, The Battle of the Labyrinth, and the last one. Or just the Last Olympian. Now, I already had the first one. I've had the first one for years, and it's been sitting on my shelf unread for a really long time. But now that I have almost the entire series, I think I'm going to be able to read this soon. So I'm excited for that. I've never read the Percy Jackson books. It came out right when I was... So the series came out right when I was graduating, so I was a bit too old for it. And or at least to be paying attention to it. I was told to pay attention to it because I think these will be good even as an adult. So I'm excited to read these. Actually, okay. So these books came out, like, the first one came out just before I graduated high school. So I was not paying attention to upcoming releases too much. I was reading a lot of stuff that I already owned. And this one kind of slipped under the radar. And it wasn't until the movies came out that I heard about it. And I did enjoy the movie. But of course I hadn't read the book, so there was nothing to spoil for me. But I've heard, of course, amazing things about this series and his writing. And I love mythology, and Greek mythology was like, I was obsessed with it as a kid. If these had come out when I was like in middle school, I for sure would have read them. Definitely. So I'm excited. I get to actually read them. And I'm going to do a read with me. So you can check out the whole series with me when I read Percy Jackson as an adult. So that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that. Then lastly, this book is by an author that is very well known in the fantasy circle, and it is one that I have never read. I cannot believe I've never read this author just before, and I've been meaning to. I just have never gotten around to it, and I don't know why. But when I saw this book on the shelf, I was like, okay, I'm getting that book, and I'm going to finally read Guy Gabriel Kay. And this is Isabel. So it is a urban fantasy, which I haven't read a lot of, so this should be fun. Let's see. So in this one, the borders between the living and the long dead are vulnerable. And there is going to be some, okay. So the living and the long dead are, hang on. So in this one, in this sublime and ancient corner of the world where borders between the living and the long dead are most vulnerable, Ned and those close to him are about to be drawn into a haunted tale as mythic figures from conflicts of long ago erupt into the present, changing and claiming lives. I'm super excited to read this. I have heard so many good things about this author, and yeah, I've been meaning to read him for forever, so I'm finally going to read him. I think this will be a good introduction to his work, because, yeah, he's got quite a bit, and I've heard it's all amazing, so I'm excited to read this. And that was all 29 books that I got over the last couple of months. So thanks for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed. And if you've read any of these books, let me know. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on them. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!